Ground was broken on the Southwest Arterial US 52 project in the fall of 2016, finally setting in motion the construction phase of what has been the #1 surface transportation priority in Dubuque for decades. I'm Randy Gale, and here today to discuss the project is Assistant City Engineer Bob Shizzle. Welcome, Bob.
Thanks, Randy. Glad to be here.
Well, to begin with, Bob, can you tell us briefly what this project is and why it's been so important for so long for the community and the region, really?
Absolutely. The Southwest Arterial will be a 4-lane highway between US Highway 20 and US Highway 61. It'll be a Priority 1 access control corridor, and so what that means, simplify it, is that there will be no access points along the highway. The only locations where you'll get access will be at the interchange locations, and the interchange locations are going to be at US Highway 20 and Cyple Road. There'll be an interchange at the middle of the project, kind of around the North Cascade Road area. Then there'll also be an interchange at the 61-151 location. So those will be the locations where people get on and off. But otherwise, it'll be a freeway design from one end to the other with no stops. The Southwest Arterial has been really envisioned or planned since 1987, when the city started looking at alternate routes or bypasses around the city along the southwest side of town. Back in 1987, they actually looked at Cedar Cross Road and those areas as being a bypass around the city, and then that all evolved over time, and as the city grew, the Southwest Arterial basically get pushed out to where it's located now. And the reason, again, it's so important is when you look at the traffic, congestion in town, right now to get to the southwest part of town, you have to use Kelly Lane. Mm-hmm. So when you look at future traffic projections, it's really critical for us to establish that freeway bypass around the southwest side of the city, not only for commuter traffic, but commercial traffic, things like that.
And now this is a major project, obviously. Just the scope of it is very large. And there's a key partnership with the Iowa Department of Transportation that's making this project happen. Can you tell our viewers about that partnership, the relationship between the city and the Iowa DOT, and how it applies to this project?
Yeah, the Southwest Arterial project absolutely would not happen without the partnership of the Iowa DOT. Right now they are leveraging $115 million towards the project, which we didn't have that kind of money. So without them bringing that financial contribution and the partnership to the project, we wouldn't be at where we're at today. So we're extremely grateful for that.
And in terms of that partnership and the work that's being done, the actual construction, what's the city's role in this project versus the DOT's?
Very good question. Again, it's truly a partnership, and this is a very unique partnership. It's never been done before in the state of Iowa with the Iowa DOT, where the city of Dubuque is basically the lead agency on the design, development, and implementation of the Southwest Arterial. The Iowa DOT's role is the actual construction. So we're doing all the upfront things like the final design, preparing construction documents, getting the project ready. We were responsible for all the property acquisition, all of the things up front that are required to advance the project. That's what we're responsible for. Then we turn it over to the DOT, and then they construct it. Okay. So it's worked out well, but it's never really been done before. But just some good teamwork.
Okay. And you mentioned one of the city's responsibilities was land acquisition for this project. As we talk today here in the summer of 2017, are all those land acquisitions complete, or are there still some remaining to do?
I am very proud to say that we are 100% complete with property acquisition. That was a monumental task. There were 56 properties that we had to 56 impacted properties along the corridor from Highway 20 to 61-151. And actually, there were 93 owners, tenants, leasehold interest that we actually had to work with to get to basically to complete the property acquisition. So again, the property acquisition was a huge task, and to date we spent about $16.1 million in property acquisition.
Okay. Now, once the project is complete and it's paved and fully functioning, what will the city's role or responsibility be in terms of maintenance or upkeep, those kinds of things? Will this be a city roadway or a state highway?
Again, very very good question. Now this goes back to the city Iowa DOT partnership. So one of the key components of that partnership was the establishment and the execution of a memorandum of understanding between the city and the state, and then the eventual transfer of jurisdiction agreement between the city and the state. And so what that includes is that the city of Dubuque has agreed that we will take over the Northwest Arterial, we will take over Central Avenue, and we will take over White Street. So Northwest Arterial, Central, and White, those will become local city streets when the Southwest Arterial gets done. In return, the Iowa DOT is throwing funding at or contributing funding for the highway project, and then the Iowa DOT will then take over jurisdiction of the Southwest Arterial. So it's basically almost like a roadway swap. So that's a big part. So the Southwest Arterial will be an Iowa DOT primary highway. They will be responsible they'll own it. They'll be responsible for the maintenance. In return, we will be responsible for taking over, and we'll be responsible for the Northwest Arterial and Central and White Street.
Okay. And as I just mentioned, we're talking today here in the summer of 2017. There's a number of projects, or I should say contracts, that are part of this project. There's multiple contracts. There's a lot of contracts that are underway right now. I understand that some of these contracts are coming in under budget. So there's some savings that we're already starting to see with this project, and those savings might create an opportunity to complete all 4 lanes as opposed to the original plan to just pave 2 lanes initially and have that done by 2019, and then find some additional funding to do those other 2 lanes. Can you give us an update on where we're at with what people can expect to have happen by 2019 at this point?
Sure. Well, to just kind of to give an update on the construction status, so to date, there's been about $10 million in projects that have already been completed. Okay. Also, right now we have construction that is occurring from Highway 20 to US 61-151. A majority of that is all the grading operation that's happening, and that's about $37 million worth of work ongoing right now. So that's underway. In December of 2017, we will be bidding 7 bid packages for the bridges and structures along the corridor. So to build the bridges at US Highway 20 for that interchange, build the bridges at 61-151 for that interchange. So all of those bid packages for bridges will bid this coming December, and that's about $47 million worth of work. The following December and December of 2018, we will bid the paving project. So, and again, that is all kind of right now geared towards the grade 4 pave 2 interim highway project. So
and just to clarify that a little bit, that's that initial plan to have 2 lanes completed, grading for all 4 lanes. Again, we're talking about a divided 4 lane. So the initial plan is to have 2 lanes paved and the other 2 lanes ready to be paved but not paved.
Correct.
Okay. Sorry.
So to date, I mentioned before, we have about $37 million in projects that are currently under construction, and $10 million of work that has already been completed. So in the projects that have been bid so far, there has been about a $13 million savings that was received with very competitive bids. So one of the things that we are looking at, and we have requested of the Iowa DOT, is that would they consider allocating the additional funding remaining that's needed to complete the 4-lane construction versus only the 2-lane. So one of the points that we brought to their attention was for us to complete the project right now. Complete 4-lane is about $17 million of additional cost that's needed. And so one of the arguments that we're making is, hey, look, we've already saved 13 so far on previous projects that have been bid, so we've almost saved pretty close to what it's going to cost us to complete this project. So let's try to capitalize on the moment right now, capitalize on the opportunity that's before us. We're not going to get the project done any cheaper than right now today. So let's see if we can't find the additional money, and let's get this thing built 4 lanes, all at once.
And I'm sure some of our viewers may agree with you on that logic, and their first question obviously is going to be when will we know what the DOT's decision? When will we know if we're going to be looking at a 2-lane version in 2019 or a 4-lane paved version in 2019?
Well, what we've asked them is for the DOT to consider allocating the additional funding as part of their fiscal year 19 budget. And so that would be basically in July 1 of 2018.
Okay.
So, hopefully we've given a pretty compelling argument. I think the DOT agrees with us. However, they're challenged with a lot of requests, just like us across the state. They have minimal dollars, minimal funds, so they have the tough job of balancing the budget just like we do and making tough choices. So, hopefully we've given them enough ammunition and enough justification that hopefully we can convince them that it makes good economic sense now while we're under construction. Capitalize on the moment and let's get this thing done.
Okay. And you talked about the DOT already contributing, was it $115 million to the project to date?
Yeah. Yep.
Just what's the total budget for the project? You mentioned the DOT is contributing $115 million. And what's the difference, and who's providing that difference in funding? I know there's the city's contributing, the county, maybe others.
Yep. The funding partners for the Southwest Arterial, again, as I mentioned, the DOT is contributing $115 million. And then the balance right now is coming from the city and the county. So the city of Dubuque was very fortunate to get about $32.8 million in federal funds. Federal grant appropriations over the last 10 years. We are utilizing 100% of our federal dollars towards this project. We're also kicking in an additional $6.1 million in city funds towards the project, and Dubuque County is contributing $3.7 million. So rough math, that's about $156 million in both state, city, and county funding. Okay, right now the cost estimate is approximately $157 million for the grade 4 pave 2 project.
Okay. And, the groundbreaking for this project was in the fall of 2016, and there's certainly been a tremendous amount of activity out there throughout the corridor, a lot of equipment moving, a lot of earth being moved. What could you tell our viewers? What might they expect to see completed or finished here yet this construction season here before winter prevents any more work being done in the fall? I know we're going to have you back probably after that to talk about what's been accomplished, but what can people expect to see for the rest of this construction season?
All right. Well, this construction season is really going to be a lot of mass earthwork moving. within the corridor. So, I mean, people are going to see the landscape start to change pretty dramatically, but it's really going to be primarily this year grading. And this grading work will also continue into the summer of 2018. Okay, but as I mentioned, at the end of this year, you'll see a lot of earthwork or grading work completed. That'll continue into next year. Then this coming December, we will bid the bridge packages that I mentioned. So next year, we'll see bridge structures start to be constructed and underway in 2017. So that'll be the big operation that people really start to take notice when they start to see bridges and bridge piers and everything start to come out of the ground at Highway 20 and 61 151. Also in 2018, there will be a lot of work up near the old highway Menards intersection, where we work on completing that project, and a lot of work will start to happen next summer on mainline US Highway 20 at the old highway intersection as that gets reconstructed and gets completed. And so that kind of takes us through next year. The bridges and structures will go from basically 2018 into 2019, and then we will be paving the highway in the summer of 2019, with the targeted completion of the basically the late fall of 2019. We'll be driving on it.
And what about the frontage road that's being installed or constructed out along Highway 20 near Menards and those businesses out there?
That project we refer to as the Menards Frontage Road project, and that's going to be kind of off the side of the road work, kind of done. Yet this summer and this fall, there will be some paving of the Menards Frontage Road, and so a lot of the work off the highway will be this year, but the actual impacts to U.S. Highway 20 and the old highway intersection really are not going to start until 2018.
Okay. And so the actual use of that new frontage road won't be until 2018 also?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's going to have to be staged in such a way where it has to be fully completed before we can open it up.
Okay. Well, those are the main questions I had. Is there anything you'd like to add?
No, it's just we're really going to see a lot of in a lot of the landscape. People are going to see a lot of changes out there in the corridor. Pretty quickly, people are going to be able to vision where the highway is going to go and see some pretty dramatic changes. So I think it's going to be exciting for people to finally realize, oh, okay, well that's where the highway goes, and oh, okay, that's where the bridge goes. Now I get, now I understand it. So it's gonna be fun. Watch it develop.
And I'm sure a lot of our viewers have been seeing the monthly project update videos on City Channel Dubuque, and they can always go to the project website to check those out as well, or see more information about the project.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thanks for joining us today, Bob, and thank you for watching City Channel Dubuque.